What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. It is the 13th day of May, and here we are sitting at about $80,250 with roughly 11 hours left in the day. Hit that like button. Thank you all for being here. Let's jump into it. Okay, we've been consolidating now since about the 5th of May, about a week now, just up in this area, consolidating a little bit more than a week here. And we are seeing some red days over the past few days. I want to look at the short-term stuff and see if the directional heading has shifted. Should we expect lower prices? Should we expect higher prices? Trump and all the bad boys of tech and industry are in Beijing, China right now, talking about working out some deals. Apparently, we'll see. I don't know what's going to go on, but I'm sure that there's some important things that are going to be talked about in that will be. We will know about over the coming days and weeks ahead. Might that impact the market in a positive or negative way? I'm thinking it might impact it in a negative way. We'll see. Maybe in the long term it impacts it positively, but this could be a sell the news event. Who knows? But before then, maybe in the anticipation of the news, maybe we get one last little pump before we dump off. That's kind of what I'm expecting. I really do still adhere to this idea that from a high to a low, this retracement here, or I guess this move here, the extension from that move, would take us to the golden ratio at least 83.7K, if not a little bit higher. I'm not personally expecting that we get above 90K, but we could see prices as high as 98,000, as high as this high. And if we do get this high, if we do get past these levels, if we're not rejecting prior support and instead we're breaking through that level, at that point we'll start to get really friendly with the idea that this is the low and that we were never actually in a bear market, but we were in some type of corrective phase overall, which we've addressed that as a possibility plenty of times since February. But that's not been the main idea. The main idea, at least since February, has been that we are in a bear market, that we are going to go lower, that we likely see a lower low than this, and that by the end of this cycle, probably sometime in Q3 or Q4, but I'm thinking late Q3, mid Q3, we will see prices that are below this low and probably above $50,000. I don't believe that we're going to go below 50K. I do believe that we'll see prices that are somewhere around 55K probably, maybe a little bit higher, maybe a little bit lower, but that's far in the future from now. That's months away. So let's talk about the short-term stuff, and then we'll wrap this video up. Okay, 1 hour time frame. Looking at this here, we have had quite the move down over the past few hours, it seems. America's waking up. China's probably going to bed. So I don't know. Maybe this is some late selling in the Asian markets, or maybe it's just early market anticipation from the United States or the Western Hemisphere. We do have a bit of what looks to be a double bottom, but this is yet to be confirmed. We need a proper reaction from this level in order to confirm it as a double bottom. Volume is picking up to the downside. We're on the index. Why are we on the index? If you find yourself on the index, don't trust the volume. Although we've got pretty similar volume here, but don't trust the volume on the index. It's skewed. It's not accurate. Honestly, it's very misleading. The Binance volume or the Coinbase volume, even Bybit, those are more reliable, I would say. The index chart, the volume would be more reliable if it just took an average of those three exchanges, but it doesn't do that. I don't know what it does, man. It's convoluted. Anyways, low here, low there, a lot of volume. As we're moving up, not a whole lot of volume at all. But when we move down, not only do we get a lot of volume, we also move down rather abruptly. I mean, without the volume, without any kind of further analysis, you just look at this and it seems as though the larger moves are to the downside. That makes me a bit hesitant to call for the upside. However, we still are finding support here. This is right now giving us the appearance of a double bottom. We did have a lot of volume come in and we didn't break lower. That is a good sign in itself, so long as we hold our ground here. Now, if over the coming hours we see lower levels and volume continues to persist, if we are breaking below these levels, we're getting 1 hour closing time frames below these levels, eating this wick whole and still getting significant volume coming in. It doesn't even have to be above this, but let alone if it grows, or if it's just significant above average to any degree, that would likely kill the bullish momentum that we were forming. And instead of predicting that we're going to go higher, which I think statistically speaking is the more likely outcome right now, somewhere around this 83.7K to $89,000 level, we might be looking at lower prices. We might be looking at prices that are down, again, all the way down around 70K or lower as time goes on. This very well could be our high from back here on the 6th of May. I'm not there yet. You guys know I was bearish before this move, and we've been bullish really ever since this move in this consolidation phase. We've been changing the what's the word I'm looking for? The heading, the directional heading. Even down here we were bullish, right? We were bullish at the top, we're bullish at the lows within this range. If we break below here and we send below these lows, that will make me bearish again. And you know, the price action is pretty screwy. I mean, let's be real. Over the past few days, since the 10th at least, the price action has been very, very screwy. And really even like since the last weekend, it's been pretty screwy. So we're just trying to gather our bearings and see what happens next. Looking at this with the indicators, the 1 hour RSI, it does look bearish. But there's bullish things going on here too. We've got about 50 minutes left in this 1 hour time frame. Imagine that it does close red. Imagine that we do come down and we close red somewhere around here. If we were to get a lower low, but not a lower low in the wicks, just a lower low in the closing price, if we were to see something like that, we would have bullish divergence on our 1 hour RSI. I feel like that's holding out for hope if we close down there. I don't really like that. I would rather say screw the bullish divergence. Let's just close here or higher, show that we're bouncing off this level, get some rapid reversal action going on here. I don't know. We moved up here. Not a whole lot of volume came in. We moved down. Volume came in. It doesn't look good right now. We need to get out of this area. We need to go to the upside, because if we go down and volume continues to persist, that definitely will look bearish. Not only that, but the RSI will get back into the oversold zone. That's bearish as well. We have lower highs. We have lower lows. It's not in a perfect channel. This kind of got me bullish yesterday, I would say, looking at this, you know, whenever I was going to bed last night. Looking at this looks bullish, but man, now you're just back in it. Yeah, you broke out of the trend, but you still have lower highs here. These are still lower highs in comparison to this high over here. We've got lower lows. Could this be a higher low? Could we be shifting the trajectory here and working our way to the overbought zone? I think that'd be nice if we did. If we see something like that, we will see prices that are above or at least around 84K. Stochastics are crossing up here, finding support. That looks decent, to be fair. But again, it depends on what we do. We still have 48 minutes left in this hour. Let's see how this goes. You know, on the 4 hour time frame, we've got about 3 hours left. So there's a lot of time left in this very pivotal moment, this very critical kind of short-term moment. We'll have results by the end of the day. I'll probably make a post on x.com depending on what happens. I mean, I would say I'm taking the bullish stance right now. I am expecting that we go higher. That's the perspective that I'm sticking with. But if that changes, I assume that we'll see that change today. We'll see that change today, if it was to happen at all. And if that happens, I will post on X. Unless I have time to make a video later, but I'll probably just post on X. 1 hour stochastics coming up. 1 hour MACD rejecting the zero. That's not good, but you know, you could, this rejection might be a false rejection, and then you come back up. We've seen that happen plenty of times before. Let's see, kind of like this one here, or like this one here. I don't know. We're not. It's the 1 hour time frame, so it's not as reliable. But I don't want to go back in time just to find the exact look that we're looking for here. But it's not all bad, but we are at a critical moment, to say the least. Looking at this on the 4 hour time frame, the RSI. This is also another reason I was bullish actually yesterday, before I was going to bed there. Looking at this, come on, TradingView, you can do it. We are holding this trajectory as support, and that's nice to see. I don't like that we've come up and now we're coming back down. I don't like that, but it's still fine. You know, we kind of bounced in this area, came back down, bounced again. We showed a little bit of a pivot action there. We did the same kind of thing over here, a little bit more extreme, but we're doing, you know, similar thing right here. it's not detrimental. And I mean, this last little run that we had like that, whenever we bounced off this area, this is what sent us from these highs of 79K all the way up to about 82.7K. So it's not the end of the world that we're here, but again, a pivotal moment. If we break through this trend which has been holding us up since the 28th of March on the 4-hour time frame, if we break below this, that could be very bad, and we could see oversold readings for the first time in well over a month. In would that be, yeah, about a month and a half? We don't want to do that. If we get oversold, typically getting oversold coincides with a break of a range. We've been in this range here. That would send us down. We would have this kind of double top look, this M-shaped pattern, and likely that would lead us to prices that are below 75K and even lower than that, I would say. That might be our next stopping point. We see a little bit of pivot action going on, but probably working our way below 70K overall. Get a lower high, find resistance, stuff like that. This could be the path. Something like this really could be the path going into the end of May. And it might be regardless. I mean, even if we move up from here, that's still something like that still might happen. That's kind of what I'm expecting actually going into the end of May, is that we will continue to drop, but I just think that we're going to see a little bit of a pump first. We've got a lot of shorts to clear out. There are a lot more longs to clear out, that's for sure. And it is, I think that with the euphoria in the market, man, I need to just log in. I don't want to show my email, so I'm not going to log in. But we don't need the long-term stuff anyways. We can just look at the daily. With the sentiment of the market, people getting giddy, talking about the bear market being over, it just, to me, it makes a lot of sense. And a bunch of other metrics that we still have lower to go as far as the bear market's concerned. This thing's not loading. I don't care. Whatever. No, I don't want that. All right, whatever. It would make total sense that this could be a topping point here. But again, I'm not there yet. We'd have to first go below these lows, and ultimately, if we go below this low, at that point, I would open up a rather late short, but I'd be pretty confident in the short here. If we went below about 79, was it 79.7K, 79.3K, somewhere in that area, we start seeing 4-hour closes below there, I'll open up a short pretty confidently and look to close that position probably around 75K or lower. The idea would be that we're in some type of M shape. These M's typically end just below here. It could be more aggressive than that, but whatever. If we're catching a late short here, this is more than enough to have some fun and make some profits. That's what we're looking to do. Short-term trading. By the way, on that note, I think everybody watching this video should probably stay away from leverage trading. Probably stay away from it. If you do it, be very low on the totem pole as far as risk goes. The stochastics look bearish at the moment. You do have a little bit of bullish divergence. They look bearish at the moment. This is the point at which you could reverse. They're kind of choppy and sideways, so is the price action, so they're going to be less reliable. The MACD here, building a little bit of bearish momentum, but also you've got this higher low aspect to you, not a lower low aspect in the price. You're also right at the zero with your oscillators, the blue and the orange level. This is the perfect area to bounce. Typically, when you bounce once, you want to see more separation. If you come back down, this sets us up for like a false bounce, a false support level here, and this could be the real area that we cross through. However, the fact that the bearish momentum here is dying off, that's a positive sign. If this bearish momentum starts to build, if we start to get lower lows here on the histogram, we're closing below these levels here, we're closing below these levels here, all that together, the volume starts to pick up on the 4-hour time frame, that would look rather bearish. Again, I feel like I've been talking about the bearish stuff a little bit, and that might make it sound like I'm bearish here, just because we're talking about the bearish stuff and acknowledging it, acknowledging what that might look like and how we would shift if that happens, does not mean that I'm playing both sides of the coin. I mean, at the same time, you kind of have to play both sides of the coin, but very clearly throughout this video, I've stated that I'm sticking with the upside. That has not changed. The minimum target is 83.7K. That's the minimum target. And if this damn thing would load, we'd see that a lot of short positions would get cleared out between about 84 to 85K. And of course, some of those short positions would push back. Um, they would add some margins, some funds to their accounts to push the price back. Maybe they would de-risk whatever and then try to short again from a higher price, and that would likely put those short levels a little higher. This could be enough to send the price even higher than 85K. Maybe we do get to that 86, 89K level, but something higher. I am expecting one last little hurrah, and then from there, death and destruction on the Bulls' behalf. Right now, this looks good. Right now, this 4-hour time frame with this wick here coming up, finding a little relative double bottom. I mean, it doesn't look bad, that's for sure. Looking at this from a low to a high, we're double bottoming off the 786, which is kind of weird, but hey, whatever. As long as we're closing above the golden ratio, I think that looks good. And especially, guys, if we can get above this high here, I don't care if it's a wick, I don't care if it's a closing price. If we can get above about 31.3K, 31.4K today, tomorrow, whatever, whenever that might be, that would be very incriminating that we are actually going to see new relative highs here. That'd be very, very bullish indeed. So that's all we got to do. Get up to about 81.3K, 81.4K, and we take on that full bullish effect. All we got to do is get below these lows, really. Start closing below about 79.3K, 79.7K, closing in that area. We'll take on that full bearish effect, likely down to about $74,000 if I had to guess. Anyways, I don't think there's really much else to talk about. Pivotal moment here, sticking with the upside. The daily RSI does show bearish divergence, but we've already played that out. The divergence is between these 2 points. You've seen that move come down. The RSI overall is taking a bit of a bullish shape. We do have these higher lows here as well in the daily RSI. We're right at that point where you'd want to hold as support. We don't have to close today in the green to look good, but the higher we close, the better, I think, if you want to see higher prices. If we're looking at this here, let's see. From a high to a low, come on now. High to a low. We are above the 382. We did find support at the 382. I mean, everything from a fib perspective here tells me that we should see higher prices. 87K looks very appetizing. It's possible that you could work your way up to the golden ratio. I'm not there yet, though, but it is possible. It is something that you could see. Right now, I'm more with this 87K area. We might find some resistance right at this level or just below it, right there around 84K. We do not have to hit the green line. It's not a requirement. We can find resistance in this zone. It doesn't have to be at that line, but 87K might be the highest, maybe a little bit above there that I'd go for. Really, I think we'll find resistance at these support areas. We're very close to hitting now, and then we'll go down. We'll see a retracement of this overall move, which is at very low volume. Another thing, one last thing, I guess, to address before we wrap up the video here, is that by the end of this week, we have 4 days, 11 hours left. If this week on Sunday closes below 79.7K, that is a very bearish sign indeed. Again, 82.8K, basically 83K to 79.7K. It's a bit of a difference there. It's not, you're not shorting the absolute top or selling and getting out at the absolute top, but if you were to go cash dominant or enter a short position, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, after this week closed here, the likely implications that we'd have here would be that we go down below, or if not to, about $71,000, somewhere around there. We retrace this overall move, who knows, we could be going lower, and of course, inevitably, I do think that we're going to go below this low as well. I'm not expecting that we start this path to lower lows here right now, but I do think it's going to happen sooner than later. I just think that we have this higher high to go first, and then we'll see what happens next. But if we close, what I'm trying to say here at the end here, if we close below 79.7K by the end of this week, that would be bearish. That would be a very bad sign. That's why 79.7K matters. You can go below there between the next 4 days and 11 hours. We can go below there. As long as we close above there, I think that looks fine. But if you close above the 382 1 week and below it the next week, that's often a bull trap. This often happens in very bull trap type scenarios, and we typically see an aggressive move back to the 236 or lower. So just something to consider there. Maybe you don't watch another one of my videos for the rest of the week, and you see the price on Sunday below 79.7K. Just just take that into note. That is bad. That would be bad. Okay. We can close 1 day below there, but by the end of this week we can close like tomorrow or today below there, and then by the end of the week, if we're closing above the 382, that's fine. As long as we're closing above here by the end of the week, it's fine. And on that note, actually, from a high to a low, because we found support here at this 1272. See how similar these levels are. 79.7K, 79.3K. If we close below this level here, not by the end of the week, just any given day, if we were to close below 79.3K on a daily basis, I would also be immediately bearish there as well. This would also likely provide a move that takes us below this low, provide a move that takes us below 75K in a very rapid fashion. I would assume that if we close below 79.3K, the drop that we have will be faster than this pump here. It will be an aggressive drop. It'll be something in the likings of this here, of this here. It'll be a much more aggressive drop than this pump was. So just things to be aware of. Taking the bearish or the bullish stance for now, subject to change with just a little bit of a movement down. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.